Knew that was gonna happen. Damn, and my baby sleeping in the room next door. Probably not anymore. Oh, need this caffeine to kick in. Whew. What is up, hybrid humans? My name is Chase Price, and today we're talking about something very exciting. I think a lot of you are gonna be very interested in this. It's developing the perfect hybrid split. Now, it's not perfect if it doesn't work for you. So this is just a template. Think of it as a guideline on how to structure your preferred hybrid split from week to week. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into creating this particular split. I program most of my athletes with this particular split in mind, depending what season of life they are in, what season of training they are in, so that's gonna vary. But I really like this day-by-day structure. It allows for recovery in between some really big hard efforts. It has 2-a-days in there, but not every single day. And I think it's something that's actually sustainable for most people. So we're gonna start off with the day-by-day breakdown, going into the monthly breakdown and how that builds out leading into an event, a race, anything of that kind. All right, let's bring in the big board here. All right, hopefully you guys can see this. I got 2 angles working. Let's break this thing down. This is what we're looking at. Sunday, this calendar starts with Sunday. I like to start with Monday. Disregard this. Sunday's gonna be off anyway. We're gonna rest on Sunday. That's the plan. Always get a full-on rest day on Sunday. You can do a walk, you can do some active recovery, anything like that, but Sundays are typically always going to be off. Rest, rest, rest. Let's get started with Monday. So first and foremost, I like to start my weeks off with leg day on Monday. Legs are always going to be on Monday for the majority of things that I'm programming. Why is that? Couple reasons behind that. First and foremost, because the rest of the calendar has a hard run on Wednesday and we have our long run on Saturday. I want to provide at least 48 hours recovery from leg day until our next hard run. I also like to start the week out with the hardest thing possible. Most people think legs are the hardest. I'm a freak, I love leg day, but that's not everybody. So I wanna go ahead and knock out the hardest thing first and foremost to start the week strong. So on Monday, I typically will program legs only and no run. Not a hybrid day, just a leg strength day. We're moving on to Tuesday. So typically Tuesday is going to be easy miles plus push. Why do we do a hybrid day on Tuesdays? Well, we just did legs only on Monday. Tuesday, we're gonna do easy miles because we wanna flush those legs out a little bit. And then we're gonna do a push day because we want to do hybrid a couple times a week where it makes the most sense. I like to do around 2 hybrid days per week. That's a run plus a lift is what I'm referring to when I say hybrid, so that's the idea. Every once in a while on that Tuesday run, I will program maybe some pickups in there, potentially some strides, potentially a tempo run. Most of the time it's easy work because we have a hard run coming up on Wednesday. I'll program anywhere from 4 to 8-ish miles usually on a doubles day. I don't typically like to go over 8 on a doubles day unless we're in a training block. And the idea behind this whole thing is just an off-season hybrid split, trying to put something together that is sustainable for you to build muscle, but also maintain mileage. We're gonna do a hard push workout on that Tuesday, one of 2 upper body workouts throughout the week. We do a push on Tuesday, a pull on Thursday. And again, that's gonna be one of our doubles day for the week. Let's move into Wednesday. So I have speed work written here. The most important thing to remember about Wednesday is to build out your workout and be very intentional with the run based off whatever it is that you're training for. And if you're not training for anything, maybe you want to increase your VO2 max. So start to build in workouts that are going to be conducive to that. Maybe down the road you have an ultra later on in the year. So instead of speed work, maybe you want to go a little bit longer on Wednesdays. That's where you only have one workout, it's the run. So maybe you want to go higher mileage, maybe 10, 12, 14, even potentially on a weekday. It's harder to get those longer miles in on the weekdays because they obviously take longer, but that's where you can be really intentional about just having a run scheduled on Wednesday. So for most of my athletes and for myself, I will program some type of speed work in on that Wednesday. When I'm programming running throughout the week, even in a hybrid build, I'm focusing on that 80-20 mentality of 80% of the runs are slow and easy, 20% of those runs are hard. That's where these Wednesdays come in big because these are gonna be our primary hard days throughout the week. I could do anything from a time trial on Wednesday to interval training on the track where we're doing repeats, something like 400s, 800s, 1200s, to even some potential tempo work where we're bringing it up 2 easy miles into a couple miles at target marathon pace. If you got something later in the year that maybe you're working for, you can get a couple reps in at marathon pace, half marathon pace, whatever that might look like. But the key with the Wednesday work, in my opinion, is to be super intentional and not just go out there and run hard, but run with purpose, run with intent, run for whatever it is that you want to be ultimately getting better at and working towards. This is the first hard speed workout of the week. And again, hopefully our legs have had some time to recover from Monday's work. Strength days do take the longest to recover from. A heavy leg day, for example, on Monday, that's typically going to take 48 hours to 72 hours to fully recover from. So that's the idea behind giving at least a day in between to rest and reset. So hopefully the legs are starting to come around by Wednesday and we can get out there for our speed work and dial it up and be really intentional. Now let's move into Thursday. We have a pull workout. This is the only workout for the day. So this is not a doubles day. If for any reason I was building out a hybrid split and somebody was doing something like an ultra or something like that, I would have more runs programmed throughout the week, but the idea here is to have kind of a maintenance mileage type goal with a hybrid build and a focus on building that strength throughout that period. So Thursday is gonna be a pull day. Nothing special about that. Again, this is the second of 2 upper body strength days throughout the week, and we're just gonna keep it simple, keep it strong on Thursdays. Moving into Fridays. Fridays are another doubles day, so I like to do a full day of core and some easy miles on Friday. Now let's talk about this. Why do I program a day specifically for core instead of adding core onto the end of the other strength days? I made this switch probably about a year ago where I dialed up one day specifically for core instead of just adding 2 core workouts on a pull day, a push day, a leg day here and there for a couple reasons. The first is because most of the time when you add them on to the end of another strength day, you're tired, you're fatigued, they're the last thing that you want to do, and you kind of half-ass the ab workouts and the core workouts while you're doing them. So you're not reaping the full benefit of what you could potentially be getting out of the core workouts. The second reason is because it's really conducive to becoming a stronger runner. So on the back half of your races, of your marathons, on your ultras, the first thing that's gonna go when you get fatigued is gonna be form. Your head's gonna drop, your shoulders are gonna be dropped, and you're not going to be as efficient as you would be, say, in the first half of the race. And a lot of that has to do with your core strength. If you don't have proper core strength, you're not gonna be able to maintain posture, you're not gonna be able to maintain good form as you get more and more fatigued throughout the race. Since I've started implementing a full day of core, I have found that my posture and my efficiency on the back half of my long runs, on the back half of my races, has increased exponentially since I've had one day strictly dedicated to the core. Because the core workouts are generally shorter than something like a push, pull, or a leg day, I double that up with easy miles. Usually always anything from 3 to 4 to 5 to even 6, depending on what you're working for. Miles on a Friday, usually it's 4. I usually will have easy 4 plus core day on Friday, gearing up for that long run coming in hot on Saturday. And speak of the devil, the last thing we have programmed for the week is going to be that long run on Saturday. Now, some people love a Sunday long run. That's fine too, but most of the time I dial it up for Saturdays and allow that Sunday to be a full rest recovery day for my athletes. Now, when I'm thinking about long runs in the off season, which is what I'm currently in and what we're kind of prioritizing for this particular video today, I'm thinking about maintenance miles. Maintenance miles for me in the off season is anywhere from 25 to about 35 miles. Sometimes I'll tick it up into the low 40s, but most of the time I'm trying to stay in that 30 to 35-ish range. So a long run accordingly with that is going to be anywhere from 10 to 16-ish miles. I usually don't get over 16 when I'm in the off season. unless there's some type of event that I want to do or run with buddies that's going to go a little bit longer. Usually these are just slow, easy miles, again, because this is the off season, so we want to be able to recover in time to hit it again hard on Monday. Every once in a while, I'll dial up some paces to add in. So maybe if I was doing 12, for example, I could do 4 easy, 4 at target marathon pace, 4 easy, something along those lines. Usually it wouldn't be something that intense because we're in the off season, so maybe it could be 4 easy, 4 at a 7 RPE, 4 easy. And when I think about easy, that's typically like a 3 RPE is what I try to shoot for and how I think about that. You could also do something like a fast finish. So again, let's keep this example going with 12 miles. Maybe it's 10 easy, last 2 miles, fast finish at marathon pace or something similar to that. Where is my fucking pen? All right, guys, that's the outline. Here are a couple things I want you guys to keep in mind that are gonna be super important as we build through this, okay? First and foremost is keep easy, easy. I know you guys hear this a lot, okay? But this is so important for something like this. This is a lot of work. If you don't spend the time to run your easy runs, actually easy, you're not gonna have the ability to recover quickly enough to do the work the next day. So it's super important not only to get the easy miles in for the Z2 work, we all know the benefits of Z2, but it's equally important to do the easy miles easy for that recovery work so that you're able to go 100% the following day on the hard runs. Next key point, high intensity, less than 60 mins. You probably can't even read that, but it says high intensity, less than 60 minutes. And what I mean by that is on these workouts, legs, push, pull, core, I want the intensity to be high. I don't want you doing a set and then resting for 2 minutes, being on your phone, taking your time, and then going back and doing another set 2 minutes later. I want to crank through this, boom, boom, boom. I want 2 things. Number 1, heart rate should be averaging above 100 beats per minute on these workouts. So high intensity, high cadence, getting through it with a high heart rate, which leads me to my second point, which is these should not take longer than 60 minutes, okay? If you're taking longer than 60 minutes on these workouts, you're taking too much time in between sets, you're doing too much volume potentially. These should typically average out, your workout should average out to be about 50 to 60 minutes at the most, and then you get out of there. Go heavy on the legs only 2 times per month. This is important. So if we're going to continue this for a 4-week block, the same workouts for 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, we want to hit legs hard the first Monday and the third Monday, or the second Monday and the fourth Monday. If we hit legs hard every single Monday, we're not going to be able to recover and again perform on the rest of the work, especially when it comes to the speed work and the long runs. You're gonna feel it and your legs are gonna be extra heavy, extra tired, and extra fatigued. So I would recommend going heavy on the legs only 2 times per month. The other 2 times can be kind of maintenance days. It can be the exact same workout, but you're not gonna push to the level that you would on those 2 heavy days. Next point, fuel plus hydrate. I have to say it because some people still don't get it. And I was the person who back in the day, I would not drink water and I would not fuel properly for something like my speed work or even easy miles, but long runs, speed work, things like that, because I was like, okay, when I get in a situation when I do have it, I'll be that much stronger. That's not how it works, okay? You're leaving so much on the table when you're not fueling and hydrating correctly, and this starts the day before the workout. Most specifically, yes, I want you fueling well and hard for your strength workouts, but I'm specifically talking about Wednesdays and Saturdays. And the fueling and the hydration starts the day before. So Tuesdays, you should be getting more carbs the day before leading into your Wednesday work. You should be getting more carbs on Friday leading into your Saturday long runs to sustain you for those harder efforts. Also throughout the week, I want you guys hitting a target water intake. For me, that's 100 ounces per day. For you, that might look a little bit different, but you should have a target water intake to maintain your hydration for the week. And also maybe take an electrolyte serving every single day, especially when it's hot out there. We're losing a lot of sodium, we're losing a lot of sweat. So we need to constantly be replenishing that supply. And last but not least, Recover, recover, recover. I cannot stress this enough how important this is. You guys have to take the time to recover correctly if you want to maintain something like this. This is maintainable and sustainable as long as you do this right here. If you think that just taking time off and laying on the couch is what I mean by recovery, it's absolutely not. It's more so the active recovery. So it's putting on the compression boots, it's grabbing the Theragun and going to work on that, it's doing your stretching, it's doing your foam rolling, any other stuff you like to do, whether that's cryotherapy, whether that's massage, whether that's yoga, whatever that looks like to you, you need to be able to make sure that you're getting it in on a weekly basis. Maybe you're doing it on Sunday, on your rest day, could be a great time to do it. Add it into the end of your workouts throughout the week if you can, but just make sure that you're getting it in. Sauna, cold plunge, ice bath, whatever that looks like to you, make sure you guys are getting that recovery in so that you can maintain this not only for a week, but 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, month after month, year after year. Hopefully that structure makes some sense for you guys. Last key point I want to emphasize here is this is based off a slow progressive overload. So what we want to do with our strength training week over week is to be adding a little bit of weight, a little bit of weight, a little bit of weight each week. The idea is we're getting stronger week over week. If you're not getting stronger, either adding weight or adding reps each week, something's wrong. There's a disconnect somewhere. You should be getting stronger as you're increasing the stress and the intensity that you're putting on your body and on your muscles. And it's also important to point out that on that 4th week, so we do a build, 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 deload structure, at least I do for all of my athletes, that 4th week is where we pull back as far as the running volume goes. We pull back on running volume, we pull back on running intensity to allow our body to recover, to allow our mind to reset, and to hit the next block that much harder going into the following 4 weeks. So hopefully this was a good guide to help you guys prioritize both the running and the strength simultaneously. It gives you an idea of how I program my athletes and potentially gives you an idea of how you might want to program your own work in the future. It beats the hell out of using ChatGPT for something like this. I've done this type of training for the last 3 years now. I've been dialing, I've been making adjustments, I've been making iterations and trying to get better and better. So hopefully my trial and error can lead to your future successes. If you guys have any questions, just leave them down below in the comments. I'll respond to all of them. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and I'll hit you back there as well. I appreciate you guys and I will see you in the next video.